This is part 2 about the immune system, and this is a video from Crash Course. Objective number 2. Discuss the immune system and compare non-specific and specific immunity, natural and artificial immunity, and active and passive immunity. Immune system. Why do we have it anyway? What do we need it for? What does it do? Well, it protects the body from pathological bacteria. Pathological means it's going to kill you, right? Foreign tissue cells and cancerous cells. It's made up of defensive cells and molecules. Non-specific immunity. Well, non-specific immunity has a couple of names. It's called general immunity or innate immunity. And what it is that you don't have to have prior exposure for it and produce an antigen for you to have general protection. And an example of general protection would be your skin. Your skin prevents bacteria from getting into your blood system. Mucous membranes, it protects linings of things. Tears, it washes the bacteria or foreign objects out of your eyes. Phagocytosis of the bacteria by the white blood cells. Also, this is done by way of an immune response. And what the immune response does is it attracts immune cells to the site of the injury. So it increases the local blood flow, increases the vascular permeability, and promotes movement of the white blood cells to the site so that the white blood cells can get the job done. This table is from your book. It has things in columns, and if you are the kind that likes to learn from columns and comparing, this is where you would come to learn about non-specific and specific immunity. This covers the non-specific defenses. We just mentioned inflammation. That's one of them. Phagocytosis, where the ingestion and destruction of the pathogen. Complement, that's the group of plasma proteins. We're going to talk about them in just a minute. And another mechanism of action is barriers, and that would be a physical implementation to prevent the foreign objects to get somewhere. The inflammatory response. So what happens is that you've got healthy skin and bacteria enters that skin. Like if you have a pimple or if you have a cut. So what happens is that damaged skin, the damage occurs, so then there's inflammation comes to the area and it releases chemotoxics. It increases the blood flow, like you see redness around the wound, and it increases the vascular permeability. So this sets up an increased number of leukocytes and mediators to the site to take care of the tissue damage. So then the tissue damage is contained and the bacteria is phagocytized and destroyed, and then there's no bacteria remaining, and then you're back to healthy tissue again. Specific immunity. So it's very particular. It's also called adaptive or acquired immunity. And what happens here is it's an immunity that includes long-term protection from an entity that you were exposed to. Okay, so It stops a second attack. It doesn't stop the first attack. It stops the second attack. So you can have specific immunity. It may be classified either natural or artificial. So depending on how the body was exposed to it. A main difference between the natural and the artificial immunity is how the body was exposed to the harmful agents in the beginning. Okay. So natural immunity is exposure of a causative agent that was not deliberate, and it occurs in the course of a living experience. Passive immunity. Passive immunity is immunity passed from the mother to the fetus through the placenta, or from the mama to the baby when the baby suckles and drinks milk from the mama. Natural active immunity is where if you had the measles, you have natural active immunity. So you were exposed to it, so you are immune when it comes down around the second time. This was used back before we had all the vaccinations. We had chickenpox. Well, chickenpox, if you got chickenpox, you wouldn't get chickenpox again. So you had active immunity. The immunity didn't come from anywhere else but you. And it was not planned. Now, if you take it and plan it, that's a different story. Okay, so let's go on to the next one about specific immunity. So specific immunity can be artificial immunity or passive immunity. So artificial immunity would give you an exposure to a causative agent on purpose. It's deliberate. This is where your wonderful vaccines that you had for your child all through your childhood, that is active immunity. You went out and you had your vaccinations. So the vaccination results in an activation of the immune system. So if you had a flu shot, it set up your immune system so that you won't get that strain of flu. It's the same way with polio vaccine. If you had a polio vaccine, it sets you up so that you won't get polio. But it's artificial. It's not something that happened in your environment by happenstance. Then passive immunity. Passive immunity is the material was developed by another individual, okay, and that artificial passive immunity is what they were talking about doing with the coronavirus, where they put out ads for you. If you've had the coronavirus, come in and we're going to produce an antibody, take antibodies from you. They did the same thing with Ebola virus. It's somebody else's body made the immune factor so that, and it was given to you so you wouldn't get sick. Active immunity means that your body did it, yours, nobody else's, yours. So it's active artificial immunity if you get a vaccine. It's passive artificial immunity if you come and get your antibodies from me because I had it. So active immunity generally lasts longer than passive immunity. However, passive immunity provides temporary, immediate protection. So if you had, you thought you might be exposed to the Ebola virus, if you have the antibody created by somebody else injected into your body, you will be passively immune. But remember, it's only temporary. Here's all of the things that I said in a nice little graph. So know that you have natural active immunity, natural passive immunity, artificial active immunity, artificial passive immunity. So when you think about active, active means that your body did it. Okay? The natural or the artificial is what triggered your body to do it. And passive is it came from somebody else. And what makes it artificial is if they go and draw the blood out of somebody else to get the antibodies and the antigen and the antibodies to do it and take care of it.